Hi, my name is Jennifer Zagarius, and in this video, you're going to learn about how to develop your personal brand. Now, this is a series of free videos, and we're also going to talk about how to launch your personal brand, monetize it, and even scale it. But first, on the subject of developing your personal brand, the first thing that you should be aware of is that you already have a personal brand. We all do. In fact, it's simply how people of the world perceive you. So whether you're in a career that's just not satisfying you, or you're planning moving into another career, or you want to start for yourself, you want to expand your business, or you want to work your way up through the ranks of a company or in your chosen career path, or this is your new venture, your new business, in which case, congratulations. And maybe you just want to develop your personal brand into one of the more utilized resources and tools, because most people really aren't leveraging theirs properly. So in this video, we're simply going to cover how to develop your personal brand. And we're going to make this really easy and just cover a lot of the basics and fundamental things for you to know and for you to be able to start doing in order to develop your personal brand. So the first thing that we talk about is perception. This is how the world perceives you. The first thing that people become aware of about you. And so on that note, think about it for a minute. How people look you up online. And if they do so, what are they going to find? How are they going to judge you, perceive you, simply based on what it is that they see online? So you have clients and prospects or hiring managers making their final decision in most cases to hire you based on what they see online. So the first thing to realize is that your online personal brand and perception and online resume is something that you have to be aware of, and you need to be aware of what you're posting on social media. What are you posting on social media? What are you commenting back on? And what are you maybe not posting on social media that makes you invisible, like a ghost online, which means that the only thing that you have as a reference point is the perception others have of you. So when you talk about developing your personal brand, which is also connected to your business brand, you really want to be aware of controlling the perception of what it is that other people see about you. So if you start posting specific things online and developing a personal brand online in a way that really starts to control that perception, so then if somebody goes and looks you up, they're going to perceive you in a very similar way to how you want them to perceive you. Or in addition to you starting to be aware of your perception of how others are viewing you based on how you're showing up in your communicating and how you're addressing things and how you're playing a role in how others could quickly come to a label or a judgment or a perception of who you are, whether that's right or wrong or neutral. Now, the first thing to truly understand with developing your personal brand is being massively aware of how you can start to control the perception that others will have of you. Now, the reason why that's important is because if you plan to launch a business or to brand yourself or to rebrand yourself, it's going to be more of a long-term thing for you, that switch. The people who may be called upon as a reference probably have a different type of perception of you. And if you haven't been controlling that perception when you plan to make that switch or when you plan to really get out and prospect, then these clients or your old boss or the employers or colleagues who are going to give that reference, for example, but you haven't controlled the perception, then this is not going to be something that you're going to like the sound of, this conversation that they might have. So if you control it, there's a higher probability that you can control getting the jobs that you want. That's why this is so important. If the clients of your new business look you up online and you haven't been controlling the narrative and the perception on social media and what the internet is posting about, whether it's about you or whether you're talking about it or not, then the likelihood of getting that job could be slim. Now, if you plan on working in your current career or in your current job, your current business, it's the same thing. You need to control the perception because that has a huge influence. First, on making sure that your personal brand is really being utilized in your favor and that you're not willy-nilly just hoping that what someone says about you is what it is that you want them to say. You need to start controlling it. Maybe you want to venture into a business, or you've started it, or you're part of what people now simply look up on nowadays, references and reviews online from past customers and clients. They may even look at you or look out for what you've been posting on social media as a business. So the research that people do nowadays, and the research shows this, that nowadays most of the consumers, before making a purchase or decision of a purchase of a product or a service or a company, they usually go online to see other people's reviews, to see how they comment, see how they post, how the company itself or the entrepreneur itself is doing this. And so again, if you have your own business and plan to really making sure that you're controlling the perception of your prospects and your future customers and the partners that they're going to perceive about you, that is an investment in your future. So the context is also really important to helping you build a business, that you have the growth and that you have the income that you really want and that you deserve. So again, in all of these categories, developing your personal brand and your business brand and knowing how you control the perception is the first most important takeaway of leveraging your personal brand. So now that we have that covered, we move into a little bit more of a broad understanding of what industry that you're really in. So if you're in a career or your own business and you want to transition into, be it more profitable or a new career or workplace, what is that industry? And you need to develop your industry appeal. Develop your personal brand for the job you want, for the business that you have. And if you're in the right business, which is your business, and you plan into, growing your business, or maybe even just starting your business now, you need to start developing your personal brand and perception and strategy based on what businesses is that you wish to start. So you're not doing it if you're in a place where you say, hey, I don't want to use my own personal brand for what I have, or use it to where you really want to be. And so that's an important thing. You need to act as if you already have the job, as if you already have that position, that you want to start building your personal brand and perception for that position. And then if you already have a business, you want to make sure that you understand the industry in which you are. Simply put, if you're in sales, or if you're in health and wellness, or in your pharmaceuticals, or in a service provider, for example, real estate, then very simply, you need to start building your personal brand, develop it and leverage it in the perception in that industry, which then moves us into a more specific industry. Now, we now know that the perception we want in the industry that we're in, or we plan to be in. Now, if we're going to get into that niche, we need to get a more specific audience view that we're going to go after. So for example, if you're in real estate, the real estate industry, you probably sell either low-income homes or affordable housing, or you might sell commercial real estate or some form of units, sell homes, or you help people buy homes. You might do refinance or mortgage. These are all different niches within the industry of real estate. So now you might be thinking, well, so what, Jennifer? You are now talking specifically. So now you're not just, you need to start controlling the narrative, and we want to control the perception for the industry. But you're not just controlling the perception for just the audience that you're speaking with, which brings us to the next point, which is the target audience within the niche. So for example, you could be helping these people buy and sell homes, or you could help people buy and sell homes that are older, or you could help people buy and sell homes that are for the first-time buyers. So whether these investments or the investments for buying and selling investments, you could be helping people in a specific age range. These are all very specific niches within a niche. So the industry generally is very broad, but you need to keep niching it down and niching it down until the target audience is the exact specific individual that you're really trying to develop your personal brand to speak to. You don't want to speak to everybody. You want to speak to a specific individual. Now, if we were to have you looked up, if you're going to look yourself up, for example, then they're probably going to get a perception of you for being the best individual for that audience. This is what you wish to achieve. So I could look you up right now if you were, for example, a top health and wellness blogger for millennial girls aged 25 to 32. Now, if I look up your personal brand and perception, this is probably not going to speak to me. This is not my age range. So that's okay, because if I don't fall into your target audience and your niche, that's great. It means you're doing the right job. So the perception that you're going to develop your personal brand around needs to be speaking to an audience so that it's specific. Because when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And there's an old saying in the business world, and especially in the marketing world, the riches are in the niches. So when you develop your personal brand, you don't want to try to be a celebrity to the whole world. You want to be someone who stands for something, someone who is the best, someone who has a certain perception for a target audience, so that instantly your customer knows that their product or your product is for them. The client knows that you're the best person for that job. You speak directly to that person that has the ability to either hire you or invest in you or work with you as a customer, or as a client, or as a business partner. So your perception of your personal brand speaks to an audience. The next thing that we do is we want to identify the foundation of topics and content, which means on social media, you can start to create content, create value, create and control the perception that you want to have. Instead of consuming content, you see the 2 billion plus people in social media oftentimes just consuming content. And so when you're talking about developing your personal brand, we want to talk about creating content. So start identifying if you want to be perceived as, for example, a top health and wellness expert for this niche and your audience. Then you want to start to create content for them. Now, that content that controls the perception that you are an expert by providing the best quality content for them, the most concise trainings, and everything else that goes to helping them to get the results that you want. So you can get the results you want, you'll get everything you want in life if you just help enough people get what it is that they want. And so when developing your personal brand, we really are just saying you want to control the perception that people see you as the person that's going to help them get what they want. And then that's going to help you get what you want. And so it becomes a full circle. And so you want to create content and topics that really help your target audience get closer to what they want, to solve the problem that they're going through, to give them educational and entertaining content that's going to help them in some way get closer to what it is that they want. And the more content and the more topics that you can help people with online and on social media, the more you're controlling the perception. And if you have 1,000 pieces of content on social media about helping people with, for example, chiropractics, if I look you up now, I'm going to perceive, really probably, you as an expert in chiropractics. If you have a perception that you want to create as a top person for XYZ subject, I'm going to look you up online, and if you have thousands of pieces of content on that subject, you are now my go-to expert. Now, other people, including myself, are probably going to perceive you as an expert or as somebody who's really good and specialist on that subject. So your topics and your content are in direct proportion to the perception that you want. You want to be a top person for your own company, for your own career, for your business service. Create topics and content that's in alignment with that thing. So if you're in real estate, you're going to create a ton of topics and content all about helping your prospects get the result that they want, even if they've never worked with you before. So if they look you up, they're going to see you online, they're going to see you all over the internet with different pieces of content in different structures and in different ways that control your perception that you're going to be that go-to person. So that when they're ready to hire you, when they really are ready to work with you and ready to buy right now, then they're going to see your content and your topics when they start Googling, and they're going to now have the perception that you are the person to go to. So the next thing that you need to understand is that when you're talking about your personal brand and controlling the perception is your values and what it is that you stand for. What I mean is that people are in alignment. Now, the people, they like you and you like them. This is being in alignment, meaning that if they have a perception about you and you have a completely different global view, value, belief, religion, politics, you're probably not going to get along that well. But if your client believes that your values and things that you stand for are completely different than yours, now you're probably not going to get that job. So companies also often hire employees based on their own values. So a company hire is due to usually similar values for the individual, and the company's value match. People who get married usually have similar values. People who are good friends usually have similar values. They usually cheer for the same team or have the same religion or same political views, work in the same career and stuff like that. Because it then makes it very easy for them to resonate together. Now, people who are indifferent and don't agree often have conflict. And so if your personal brand and the perception that you want people to have and the content that you create is in alignment with their values and their beliefs and what it is that they stand for, and that this is similar to your audience and similar to you, then you're going to have a good chance that you're going to have resonance and congruency, which means that the perception will be exactly what you want. The outcome will be more likely to what it is that you want, and they'll probably hire you. And they want to work with you. They'll probably give you what you want because you are in resonance. And the perception is an alignment with what it is that they're looking for. People are not usually looking to hire somebody or work with someone who's out of alignment with their values and beliefs and everything that they stand for. And so people buy products that are a reflection of what it is that they stand for. They buy a nice car or a nice purse or a nice watch or a nice thing because they have that perception. They want to be perceived as successful. They want to be perceived as significant. And so when you invest or buy something, it's a reflection of what you stand for and your values, in most cases, at least to the world. Why everybody else should buy something super expensive, because it makes them feel a certain way and it helps other people perceive them in a certain way. And so when producing content and controlling your perception of your personal brand, you want to be hyper aware of how your non-verbal values come off. Now, if you're a health and wellness expert and you say that you are and you produce content around it, but you're overweight, then the perception is probably that you don't really value health and wellness. If I can see that you're clearly not in good shape, your unspoken values are going to tell people that you don't stand for true health. If you tell people, I stand for this, I believe this value, then that's your spoken value. How you dress, how you talk, how you show up, who you surround yourself, and all of those things are non-verbal cues of what your values and your beliefs are and what you stand for. So knowing that when you're developing your personal brand and controlling perception, controlling your spoken values and beliefs and your unspoken values and beliefs are very important for you to be aware of. A lot of your developing a personal brand is simply being aware of the little things that someone could perceive and judge you on, because you want to be massively aware of all of those things so you can control them in your favor. Now, the last thing that you should be aware of as we conclude this free training, before we go into the next one on launching your personal brand, is we want to understand what are some of the best platforms to develop your personal brand on. Now, our recommendation obviously is finding where your clients hang out. So you can use platforms to build your personal brand and your professional brand, such as Facebook or Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Now, there's a lot of great platforms where developing your personal brand and housing and hosting your content can be a great place. People are looking up you on specific platforms, and they're most likely going to be the ones that you want to develop your personal brand on and launch it on. So find the biggest platform where your audience is hanging out at: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, name it. All these are great platforms to get started on because they're some of the biggest. So that is where I recommend you to start developing your personal and your business brand. And the last thing, of course, is outsource certain tasks and work. There's a lot of freelancers and software and technology out there where you can get other people to support you in developing your personal brand. Whether that's filming your content or doing graphic design work or any of those little things that might just not be in your skill set. But you want to be perceived as credible, authoritative, as whatever the perception is that you want to develop your brand around. So in some cases, you want to be able to outsource some of those tasks because you shouldn't have to do things that aren't your highest skill set and aren't in alignment with the perception you want. Get some professional headshots taken. Go get some professional video work done at some point, if that makes sense for your brand. There's a lot of other things that could get outsourced, like graphic design works and all of these things. I will talk more about that in some of the next trainings on launching and monetizing and scaling your personal brand. But I really hope that you enjoyed this first free training and that it helps you get the beginnings right of the foundational stages of developing your personal brand. Now again, my name is Jennifer Segarius and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye now.